Hey guys, Vazzy back here. It is finally time for episode 1 of our Toronto Warriors expansion franchise mode here in NHL 26. So if you did not see episode 0, I would definitely go and take a look at that. It basically explains the whole setup, the whole real challenge of this series. That is that we are one of 4 teams entering the league this season. So obviously the new Toronto team, we also have the return of the Atlanta Thrashers. We have a new team in Houston, that being the Houston Apollos. And then once again, another return, that being of the Quebec Nordiques. So with all the rumors of the NHL going to 36 teams here in the near future, I thought, hey, let's just do it all right now. The divisions are all realigned and we're all more or less ready to go. So we're going to get about the first half of the season done. We obviously want to get to this year 1 draft, as I have a feeling we're going to be a pretty big player. You have McKenna, you have Verhoff, you have Stenberg, Cameron there. He is a made-up EA created player, but a very good year 1 draft, and I really do hope that we get a big game changer for the face of this franchise. So I did want to go into free agency here quickly. Again, there's not going to be really that much, but is there anything that we can really add to this team, like a Robbie Fabry? Does he bring some value that we can maybe trade away? Same with maybe like a Brett Leeson. At least he could be like a good 4th line power forward kind of role. Fabry can maybe, slot up and down the middle 6. Like I said, with us being one of 4 teams expanding, these rosters are pretty weak. So some of these players may be, at least a little bit more valuable to us here. Goaltending, Samsonov, we have Varlamov, and we have Hofer, so I think we're okay in the net. Okay, so we sent out those 2 offers. Is there anything else we really want to do here? I do have to trade away just a few contracts just to make room for those new 2 players. So we have a bunch of 40 overall guys. That's just the AHL filler that we end up starting with here. So let's send a 7th round pick, 2026 from the Toronto Warriors. We'll just see if we can get a 7th back from the Ducks. Should go through, and there you go. Trade accepted. So now we should have a few extra roster spots, which is good. Yeah, just AHL lines that are all messed up. That's fine. We can take a look at those later. But yeah, I think we're more or less good to go. Let's get the preseason done, and let's see if we can get either Robbie Fabry or Brett Leeson to join the team. Okay, so let's get the simulation underway. First indication of how this team will play. Jacob Bales, our head coach. He's one that's definitely not going to stick around for too long. He's only a B-rated coach, but when you're an expansion team in franchise mode, you always start with someone who's definitely not the best. So we'll see what he can do with this team. Brett Leeson does join the team. Same with Robbie Fabry. It's awesome to see. We are 3-0 to start the preseason. Look at us go. 4-0. Wow, what is going on? 5-0. We drop our first game to Tampa, but it's a very good start for sure before getting destroyed by the Montreal Canadiens 7-1. But we finished the preseason 6-2. Was not expecting that in any world, and I very much don't expect that to continue. I think we're going to not be a great team here heading into the season. Okay, so let's call up those 2 guys that we signed. So Stevens can go down, Leeson and Fabry can come up. Let's see where we can kind of slot these guys into the lineup. So we have a hole on the 4th line center, so we can just probably move Barron from the wing to center. It's not a big issue. Fabry, no, we're going to put Leeson there on the 4th line. That probably fits his role a little bit more. It's a -1, but it's fine. And where do we want to put Fabry? Does he even really have a spot? Or is he just going to be our scratch player? Like, Kaliev still has room to grow. Nestorenko still has some room to grow. Obviously, Bork has a ton of room and potential to grow. Fabry is 29. I think we're going to start him on the bench. But again, we do have injuries on, so we'll see how long that's going to be for. Okay, so let's get the simulation underway. Let's go jump into this first game here against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Who is going to score the first goal in the history of this team? Let's find out. First period here in Tampa in Amalie Arena. We are up 1-0 and Dawson Mercer scores the first goal in Toronto Warriors history. Love to see it. Our best player gets us on the board. Nick Paul ties us up at 1 in the second. In the third, we do take it by a score of 3-1. 2 huge goals there from Bork and Brazeau. Okay, so there you go. There's our first win in franchise history. Gonna have a lot of milestones here coming up, as obviously we are one of the newest teams out there. So let's just continue on with the sim game here against the San Jose Sharks. We'll just sim through it. That is a win in the shootout, 3-2. Starting out 2-0. Hey, again, maybe this preseason trend can continue. Very much doubt that, but we'll continue on. Switch out the goalies. And let's just continue on here with the sim. Another game here against Tampa Bay. We just beat them. They do get their win back. 5-3 loss to Tampa. Let's simulate up ahead here. Game against the LA Kings. Another part of a back-to-back with the Anaheim Ducks. First off, with the Kings at home, that is another regulation loss. Get absolutely pumped there. 8-2. Okay, so let's go and switch out the goaltending. Varlamov was not very good in his 2 appearances. Hofer was quite a bit better. And let's just get a good chunk of simulation underway. Going to be using the calendar a lot more than we did last year. Still going to have that, day-to-day simming aspect, but I think for getting the season done a little bit quicker, at least at the start here when we're not a great team, probably a good way to go. So let's simulate up ahead here till we play the Toronto Maple Leafs, another team we're going to have a crazy built-in rivalry with. And that's another good goal I think this team can have. Be the first expansion team to win, but can we also potentially win a cup before the Toronto Maple Leafs? We'll find out. We're obviously quite a bit behind them, but you never know. Jordan Harris goes down with an injury. We'll just replace it for now, sitting 5-3 on the season, 6-3 on the season, 6-3-1 as we approach the first game there against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, so that's actually a lot better than I was expecting. 10 games in here. Very small sample size once again. Let's go take a look and see how things are going. Wow, so yes, Barry Kotkaniemi absolutely crushing it. Wow, look at some of these minuses though. Holy, Brazeau, Holmberg. Definitely a little bit of concern there, at least in the bottom 6, I would say for sure. Sorting this by forwards, Kaliev's honestly done pretty good with, his opportunity. He's taken it and ran with it. Defensively, Matt Grzelcyk, 8 points. Jamie Drysdale, 8 points as well. Maybe he's not totally cooked at this point. Interesting. Hofer is, wow, 933 save percentage, 1.95 goals against. With this team in front of him, that is absolutely insane. Again, I do not expect those numbers to keep up, whatsoever. Looking at the standings here, the Quebec Nordiques just ahead of us. The Thrashers 5-7 with 10 points just below us. And then going to see how is the Houston Apollos doing. 4-4-2, 10 points as well. All very similar-ish point totals. I'm sure we'll see some separation there as we get further into the season. Okay, so let's jump into this game. Toronto versus Toronto, the first time ever. Maple Leafs get on the board first. Nick Walk, can we tie it up in the second? We do. Henry Thrun, the former Maple Leaf. Okay, here we go. Gonna have some players going from side to side. Love to see it. And in the third period, the Maple Leafs take it. Austin Matthews gets the game winner. Is expected. Obviously, the Maple Leafs are leaps and bounds ahead of where our team is. That is right now, though. We'll see how that looks in a few years' time. We're definitely going to be jumping into a lot of games with when we play the Maple Leafs, just like when we were Pittsburgh last year, jumping into a ton of games with the Flyers. So yeah, I think we're more or less good to continue on. Varlamov, you're going to be getting a few more starts here as we jump ahead. We'll see if he can rebound from that rough start to the season. 2-1 shootout win against the Vancouver Canucks. And another game here against the Leafs. I honestly kind of probably want to get Hofer back in for this game. Give us the best chance of possible of winning, and then we can get Varlamov some more starts after this. Okay, so let's go jump into another game here against the Maple Leafs. Can we get our win back? First one against them in franchise history. 2-0 just after 1. Turcotte and Brazeau. Very good start. 3-0 after 2. Turcotte adds another goal. And in the third period, we take it by a score of 4-1. Tavares and Whitecloud trade goals, but we do get the W. Things you'll love to see. So we split the series there with Toronto, each taking one game. Okay, so let's get back to some calendar simulation. Let's see how this team plays over a bit of a longer stretch. Currently sitting 8-4-1. We have the Houston Apollos up next. Normally I'd probably jump into that, but we'll jump ahead a little bit for now, and then maybe we can see them in the future. Sim up to this game against Utah, and we'll see how we're playing. See if we can get our first one here against one of our fellow expansion teams. Jordan Harris is eligible to come back. we'll get him back into the lineup whenever we have a chance. Not the biggest player sitting on the bench. Another AHL injury, that's fine. Calgary Flames, that's a win, followed by a loss against the Dallas Stars. Can we get our win back? Alex Turcotte goes down there. Okay, so we probably want to stop the sim. Can we beat the Ducks, though? Looks like we do. Okay, so let's get Harris back into the lineup, and then let's see how our team is looking with no Turcotte, because definitely probably want to fix that. So Fabry's going to come in, which is fine. Who can play center there? Not Nestorenko. Lucas Reichel, I guess, technically can, and then Nestorenko comes up, has more of an opportunity. Fabry can play the third. I'm fine with that. Henry Thrun has actually looked pretty good. Zach Jones -3. Let's take him out for now. And Jordan Harris can come back in on that third pairing, and I think we're okay. I didn't mean to switch the goalies, so we'll do that right now. Varlamov, you'll get at least a little bit of a runway here over the next couple of weeks, and I think we're more or less good to go, at least until Turcotte is back and ready to return to the lineup. So loss against the Dallas Stars there, 3-2 in the shootout, followed by a 3-2 win in overtime against the Hawks. Another injury in the AHL, it's fine. Loss against the Edmonton Oilers, Utah Mammoth up next, that was, I did not see. Turcotte is ready to come back, loss against the Mammoth, and loss against the Kraken. 2 straight losses, now sitting 11-9-2. Still better than I thought we would be doing. I did not expect us to be over 500 at this point. All right, so Turcotte is back. So Robbie Fabry came in for him. He was a -5 in 5 games. Oh, yikes, that's not good. Something wasn't working on that line, that's for sure. So let's get the lineup back to how it was. Turcotte second line center. Reichel can be the winger. Nestorenko there, I'm fine with that. Think we're all right to continue on here. Take a look at some of the stats here actually quick. Kotkaniemi still leading the team in points, 20 points in 22 games. Dawson Mercer right behind him. It's okay, it falls off pretty quick though, which is not great. -7 from Barron. Only 1 assist in 22 games. Nestorenko's also struggling there. It's not great. Defensively, few -6s. Drysdale, Bernard Docker is not working as a pairing. Goaltending still, Hofer's just absolutely crushing it. Varlamov has not been very good for us here early on. Okay, so is there actually maybe a few changes we want to make? Nestorenko. Maybe let's give Fabry a bit of a, at least a elongated opportunity here. We'll mess around with the bottom 6. If he doesn't work out, it is what it is. But we'll try moving Barron up just to, get something moving. Thrun's actually been pretty good, so let's move up him to play with Drysdale. Bernard Docker will go down. And let's see how those line combinations work. Just kind of mixing up, some of our role players. We'll see how we're doing here. So first off, Dallas Stars, that is a 7-3 loss, not a great start. Followed by the St. Louis Blues, which is a 2-1 loss in the shootout. Okay, so that's all right. Let's jump into this game here, Houston Apollos. We played them once already this season. First time jumping into the slow sim, at least against them. 2-1 Toronto after 1, Barron and Whitecloud Zetterland for them. 4-1 Toronto after 2, Holmberg and Bork. And in the third, we do let in a goal there by Farabee, but we take it for the 4-2 victory. Okay, so we get another win on the board there, sitting at 12-10-3. Once again, let's just get some simulation underway. Let's go and see the Quebec Nordiques here in just about 2 weeks' time. Get some more calendar simulation underway. Calgary Flames, it's a 4-2 loss in regulation. Anaheim Ducks, 3-0 shutout loss. Willsby down to injury. Do beat the Minnesota Wild there. Want to switch out the goalies here again. I keep wanting to give, Varlamov at least a little bit more of a elongated look. With Hofer there, we're kind of running him into the ground right now, which is something we probably don't want to do, especially with having a veteran backup that is hopefully capable. So let's just continue on here and at least get up to the game here against the Quebec Nordiques. Win there against the Vancouver Canucks. Utah Mammoth up next. That is a shutout win, 2-0. Minnesota Wild, that's a 4-3 win in the shootout. And the Detroit Red Wings is a 4-2 loss in regulation. So again, we're doing really good, sitting 16-13-3. Nordiques there 14-16-2. And we're currently in a playoff spot, which is kind of crazy. I don't know. We'll see how this goes, but I don't expect us to keep that. First period here, Toronto and Quebec. Beecher gets the Nordiques on the board here in the first. Second period, 4-1 Nordiques. Not a great period there for us. In the third, both teams will trade goals as we lose 5-2. Okay, so it is what it is. 16-14-3 after that game. And let's just get the last part of the simulation done here for this episode. Waivers here. No, we don't need a 75 overall medium bottom 6 forward. That is fine. Injury there in the AHL. Again, that's just one of those 40 overall guys. Doesn't really matter. Buffalo Sabres, that's a 4-1 loss, followed by another 4-1 loss to the Minnesota Wild. 6-5 win against the Colorado Avalanche. Lots of goals. 4-1 win against the Edmonton Oilers. Another loss against the Wild. That's 2 straight to them. Yeah, St. Louis Blues, that's also a 4-2 loss. Okay, so we're definitely coming back down to earth here a little bit. 18-18-3 now. And hopefully, at least in the second half, when we start selling off some of these guys that are, pending UFAs, then we'll definitely come back down to earth again a little bit more. Bork there's doing actually really good. That first line's doing pretty good. Kaliev there still has 20 points, 34 games. Turcotte is struggling though. Yikes. Want more out of him for a second line center. 10 points in 34 games. Fabry actually not too bad. 10 points in 22. Holmberg's doing all right. Reichel's not. 10 points there in 39 games. Let's bring up Fabry. I don't know. We'll see if it makes a difference. I don't know. Grzelcyk, Whitecloud. Ooh, they're big minuses. But the second pairing's actually been better. Third pairing's definitely sucked. I don't really know who we can mix and match with there though, because I don't want to mess up that really good second pairing guy, and I don't want to move a first pairing guy down to the third, so I guess let's just continue on here. Only 2 or 3 more games, I believe, till we're at the halfway point of the NHL season. We'll finish off with, a in-game sim here against the Toronto Maple Leafs, our third meeting against them of the year. We have split the season series 1 game apiece. Can we go up 2 games to 1? 2-0 for us after 1 at Kotkaniemi and Bork. 3-0 after 2, Dawson Mercer, our whole first line there. And in the third, Lorenz adds 1 on the power play. But we once again defeat the Toronto Maple Leafs. So up 2-1 against them in the series. That would be something that's actually, kind of fun to keep track of over the years. How do we do against the other Toronto teams? So we'll have to see how that all goes. And then last game here, getting to game 41 of the season. It's a 4-2 loss against the San Jose Sharks. Okay, so sitting 19-20-3, halfway through the year. Very interesting for sure. I thought we'd be at, maybe 10 to 12-ish wins, but to actually have 19 and, still kind of more or less be right there. I was kind of expecting us to be where the Thrashers are. Nordiques are basically exactly on pace with us, both having 41 wins in the same record. Tampa leading the division there. In the league, the Capitals are the best team in the NHL. Who is the worst? That is the Calgary Flames with 21 points. Wow. Atlanta right down there. The Apollos down there, 16-17-1. And then us in Quebec are not too far down that list. Taking a look at individual point scoring leaders, and Kotkaniemi still leading the way, 33 points, 42 games, finally becoming that player that Montreal wanted when they drafted him. Looking really good, but it falls off, and it falls off hard when it comes to scoring. Jamie Drysdale, he's actually been a really good surprise for us. 19 points, 42 games, and he also is only a -2. That's not bad for him. And then in the net, Hofer still doing great. Varlamov, 19 games now. You've had an opportunity, but those numbers are not looking too good. Maybe that's a guy that we look to move here sooner than later. And then looking at contracts, was there anything we want to start looking at? Obviously, Grzelcyk, guy that probably gets dealt. Jamie Drysdale, what would he want on an extension? He's been playing good. He wants $10 million? What? Yeah, okay, we're definitely waiting on Jamie Drysdale. Bernard Docker could be moved out. Bork, that's at least reasonable, $3 million. Wow, Jamie Drysdale, that's actually absurd. That's a crazy ask. Guy like Kaliev, what's he asking for? Like $1 million for 2 years? I have no issue doing something like that. But we'll start selling off some pieces. Obviously we want to try and bottom out here as we do finish the second half of the season here and head toward the NHL draft. Hopefully get that game changer. Like I said, Gavin McKenna would be so nice to build around, but we'll have to wait and see. But that is going to do it for episode 1 here of our Toronto Warriors expansion mode. And we'll see you all next week, where we will finish off the 2025-26 NHL season.